Sawyer has taken his throne.
I'm wearing Mike Trout. Where's Presley? If Presley's here tonight.
There's nobody here.
Presley.
You
nobody.
see it on the replay.
There's nobody.
Not one person.
Where are you people?
There. Oh wait, is it on live chat? Doesn't matter. That I guess doesn't have anything to do with the thing or whatever.
Wow, that's a good thumbnail though.
You think so? Mm-hmm. It makes you look like a vampire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wonder why. Well, if nobody's here yet, I'm gonna mess with the light.
Make it a little better.
We really do have a nice backdrop though.
See, there's people here. Let It Go's here. Even though it says here, even though it says nothing.
Well, I just didn't want you to explain your shirt and all that.
Oh no, we're gonna wait. We could be like some of these people that play like an hour's worth of songs before they go live.
And I don't understand why they do that, because they have to, when they do the replay, they have to take that part out. Mm-hmm. And then I guess they monetize after they take that part out. But don't they take your stream down immediately sometimes while you're live if you have copyright?
I don't think they do that. They just won't let you monetize it. But yeah, once you edit it.
Hey,
Angela. Once you, yeah.
One of the things I would like to know from you guys is those of you who saw Leticia's little strip tease with her. People are still saying that she might not be pregnant. It didn't look like a baby.
Looks pregnant. She did.
I thought I saw some outlines of something. Anyways.
As a man.
But hold on though.
Go ahead.
I'm curious. We should put it as a poll, but I don't know how to do it. You can do it in the chat. If there was music with her strip teasing with her pregnant belly, what music would it be?
Let It Go's got to throw up.
What would the music be?
I'll say for all. I took one for the team. I watched it.
Hey, Clancy.
Mandi had me watch it. Hey, Clancy. So for all, my eyes, I can't see the screen very well right now because my eyes are still a little burning and blurry from it.
But what's wrong with her?
My first guess would
be...
A lot.
No, go ahead. No, but that is hey, Jude, I always see you in the comments, but you never make a live. I'm glad you're here.
You said, hey, Jude. Like
the
Beatles song?
See, I call Eleanor Risby, hey, and finally Jude. Sean was like, you do know it's Eleanor Rigby. And I said, I don't even know what I'm talking about. And you're like, it's a song by the Beatles. And I was like, well, I'm going to keep it Risby because I had no idea.
Just like
I do know the Beatles, though.
Just like Hey Jude.
I went to Strawberry Fields. It's a street. Did you know that?
I thought it was out in California.
Mm-mm. Well,
it's in England. And
I went to the cavern where they were discovered in Leeds. Let me tell you about Leeds.
Listen to this.
Leeds is a shipping town, a British shipping town. I can't speak for American shipping ports because I don't know. But 98% of the people were stumbling around drunk, almost falling into the little
ravine
channel or whatever it was. Yeah. She posted on Twitter with hilarious. Okay, so looks like Al's done it for us. Al put the sound behind it. I think now.
Oh, did she? What song did she use?
There it is. She said, everyone says, hey, Jude. It's actually my name. That's kind of cool. We'll have to look at what she used. Oh, Clancy's listening for pizza. I just got in from Meridian, Mississippi. We stayed there one time.
Yeah.
In Meridian, right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. See, I can remember some things.
Auntie Meridian, Uncle Meridian, and all the little Meridians.
If you want to be happy for the rest of your life, you got to marry an ugly wife. Is that from the song?
Something like
or
that.
Or did Leticia say that? The other thing, I was watching Randy earlier, I don't watch all of Leticia's stuff anymore because there's so many of them. And a lot of times she's getting so morbid and emo and I just don't want to hear it. But this is what I think, because I think that the only reason she's not in a psych ward until she delivers that baby is because her mother took responsibility for her. Because at this point, everything that's gone on, she would have popped right back out the house and gone to her car.
And they must not be watching her very closely.
I think she's got to stay there.
They should have put an ankle brace.
The thing is like, I know the prosecutor wrote like the judge, and the judge didn't necessarily follow it completely, but they had to have something. And I don't know, maybe that would be in the conditions of release. I don't know. Hey, Yoga Pants. But if she's seriously threatening to hurt that child, the judge has a certain amount of responsibility to either put her in a psych ward until she has it.
Mm-hmm.
I know the courts don't care about YouTube, and they really don't. But this one, when they say the intent, could the intent be, well, with her, yes, it could.
But that's such a debate. I mean, because the intent, we always talk about it all the time. She's pregnant, and we think she is, most of us. And she's saying on a live stream that she's going to hurt the baby or do whatever to the baby. But the judge heard those sound bites, but still released her on a pretty low bail.
The prosecutor actually, I don't know if the judge watched it, but the prosecutor, Al read the letter that the prosecutor submitted to the judge saying, I've seen where she says this. I've seen this.
Right.
It needs to be $35,000. And the judge didn't set it at that.
No, the judge,
but they have to do something.
But I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, we talk about this all the time, but you know, it's pretty serious what she said she's going to do and this and that. And
yes.
In a court of law, you know, that doesn't hold that much water. It really doesn't.
You don't think so? Yeah, the DA asked for $35,000 cash, and the judge released her with $2,500.
It doesn't hold water, and I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, how could it not? She's pregnant with it, and she said, "Oh," and she's mentally ill. How can she say it over and over, and the judge not pay attention to it?
It's probably different from state to state. You want to get down, Soy Brown?
That is going to be a complete national, maybe international incident if they didn't heed that warning and something were to happen. She can also drop it right off on our porch right here.
Yep, we would take care of it.
Yeah, we would give it a good home. Give him a good home. It's a boy. The detective said she's not preggers. The entire police force claims that she's not pregnant. See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Sean. That's what. But when she was shaking her tummy and stuff, you kind of saw little lumps here and there that looked like there could be a baby in there.
Until my vision went out. You know, so for about 40 seconds I could see, and then it slowly was like acid in my eye. But there was a couple angles where she looked like there was a baby.
I thought I saw like, not so much her tummy but everyone that I talked to today, and I've talked to several of my girls, they say she's not pregnant. They say they you know, they don't know, everybody looks the same, but she's not. And the detectives and police said she's not preggo.
Well then.
But, and you know what? All of that arguing that she did with her mother and her brother, no one mentioned her unborn baby.
That's kind of true.
You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
Yes.
You would have figured that the brother would have mentioned something like, and you're saying you're pregnant and you're not. But
you're right, Angela. It's the same, let it go. But narcissists don't hurt themselves. I've heard that. They'll threaten, but they don't.
Yeah, they think too much of themselves to hurt themselves.
So Sean told me this story today. This is kind of what made me want to go live. I didn't clickbait it with that title, but it was going to be called, yes, Justine, she is in that case. It was going to be called Bigfoot in Dawsonville.
There's been a Bigfoot sighting in Dawsonville.
And there would be about 120 people that, hey, Whiplash, would be watching this right now to see what was.
I know. She should have hashtagged Bigfoot. We could have got a bunch of clickbait views.
So, a couple of things. The first thing is we both kind of want to sit and laugh because it was our first day back. I work as a caregiver, work with dementia, and it was my first day back after being gone a little over a week. So that was an adventure to walk into the house. It's look, they're playing. But Sean's story is definitely better than mine. And when he tells me these stories, I stayed in this. I did get. He all of a sudden says, "Here, let me tell you this," and he tells me this story.
Well, see, what happened was she asked me how my day was, and
okay, this is me now. Go ahead.
So my job, when I'm up working in the customer service part of my job, which I have to do sometimes, we see people from all over town and this and that. So there's this one dude who, and if you can, let me see, he's kind of looks like he's a little short, like Italian looking guy. And he's got kind of the slicked back hair. And
if you had to guess where he worked.
If you had to guess what kind of job he had, he would look like a car salesman. So he would come in every once in a while with stuff to send out, for his clients. And finally, I'd asked him, what is all this stuff that you have to do? And he's like, oh, well, I'm a car salesman. He doesn't run the car lot, but he's one of the salesmen. But he does a lot of the financials. And so he has to mail stuff, a lot of it out to California and stuff. He's got to put packages together. We help him do that, and then he sends it out. And it's a lot of money stuff. So I have seen this guy a lot, and I've been at this job closing in on 18 months. So I see a lot of people all the time, and you really don't think too much about what they do. You just don't ask. So I never did. And then I found out that, he was a car salesman. So anyway, he comes up to me and he comes to my desk and he's just talking small talk, and we're getting everything in order for him. And he goes, I saw it again. I saw another one. And this time he described the street and this and that, or where it was. He said, I saw it. And I'm thinking, I'm not paying a whole lot of attention to him, but as he's talking about it, I think he's like, he's talking about a deer.
He said another one.
Another one. He said, I saw another one. This is a big one, is what he said.
Hey, Paul and
I thought he meant like a deer, bear, because, something that you might not see a lot of, but occasionally. So he's going, yup, and he's looking at me, and I'm kind of like, so I kind of look over at the desk next to me to somebody that's been working for years in our occupation for like 25, 26 years. And he knows more people than I know. He looks at me and he goes, a Bigfoot.
And walked away.
Yeah, this other guy, like I didn't know what the guy was talking about. Another guy, one of my coworkers goes, Bigfoot. And I looked back at the guy and I said, really? He goes, yup, I saw another one. He's dead serious, y'all. And I'm going.
And Sean accepts everyone as they are.
I didn't say, oh, bull, I didn't go, what? I just went, really? And he goes, yup, this time, and so he's describing it, and I'm figured out that he's serious. He's dead serious, not BSing me. And he's a car salesman, so he BS's people a lot.
And he said, I was a basketball
And he
coach.
goes, look, man. And I said, really? They're pretty big. He goes, man, I've coached basketball. And this guy's probably 5'6". Mm-hmm. A little, like a fire hydrant,
hey, Gigi,
hairback Italian dude. And he's sitting there, and I go, hey, and he's telling me about it, and I go, so you saw Bigfoot? And he's like, yeah. And I said, again? You saw it again? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, look, man. He goes, I coach basketball. I've coached people that have gone to the NBA, all the way down to third graders. So I can have a pretty good assessment. So I'm looking at the size. He's about 6'9", 6'10". And I'm like, really? And he's like, yep.
Which I would think is not tall for a Bigfoot, but I don't know.
But, and so.
Do the one we talked about seeing 3.
But, so I'm kind of intrigued now. So I stopped what we're doing, and I'm talking to him, and I said, I said, and they're around here? And he goes, one time I saw 3. and I was like, at once. He said, there was 3 of them. And I'm going, where was this? And he goes, I had my GPS. I plugged the spot. I just happened to have it. I went back there. There was evidence that what I saw, I seen Bigfoot. 3 of them. So I said, but what do they look like? He goes, well, she said, I think there was a mama Bigfoot because there was a smaller one. He was only about 6'5". He was about ear height. So it had to be an adolescent. But the mom, when she noticed that I saw them, she was a big one, and I could figure she's a mom. She turned and she flexed her back out. Like when people flex their back? You mean like showed him the cobra? He's like, yup. She didn't want me to see the other Bigfoot. So she stepped and she flexed her back out and hid the other ones. So. And
y'all know Sean, he's just like.
So and this guy, think about it. You're at your job and you run.
And you've seen the show, so you felt like you were
So I said to him,
educated.
I said, well, I've seen, the show about it on TV, the ones that live in the northern climates. And he goes, what? And I go, like Yetis, they live in the northern climate. You see it on like Discovery Channel or whatever. He goes, yeah. The rumor is, and it has that they're like celestial beings or they're alien beings or they're extra, whatever. And he looked at me and he dead serious. He looked at me and goes, they're angels. That's what they are. They're angels. They don't look like angels in a traditional sense, but they're like hairy angels.
They're here to watch it.
And I said, what the TV has said is they are here they guard things and they don't want you to get close to certain things. And he's like, he's hanging on my words now. And I'm like, so what I saw, and I watched this one day, 1:00 in the morning on a Saturday, and you can't sleep and you don't have to get up. So you're browsing the channels. I believe that I kind of believe in them, but I don't believe that there's running around.
You've got to be. You were married to one.
I know, but they're packs of 3 at a time running around Georgia.
I let it go. I said that. Go ahead.
But so I'm explaining to them, and they're supposed to. So they're here to help us. I think their mission is they're here to help us. And he says, "You think?" And I said, "Yeah, but they're also there to protect certain things that we're not supposed to see." So that's why you see them in Siberia and stuff. You hear these stories in very remote parts of the world. And when people get too close to something that they're not supposed to see, the Bigfoot kind of makes itself seen and scares them off. And if you get too close, and I said, I heard if you get really too close, by all means, they'll kill you. And he didn't miss a beat. I said, and they'll kill you. And he goes, quickly.
Like that.
Quickly, like that. Bad. I mean, badly, quick, and brutally. And I'm just like, okay, I said, well, that's what I heard too. He goes, well.
But you have to picture Sean just telling this story. Like, I don't even think we were talking about our first day back and weird things. And that's what prompted him to say it. I'm like, does this stuff happen? He goes, fairly often. But the funniest part is when his coworker was like, Bigfoot.
He's talking about Bigfoot because he had talked to this guy before. And I was kind of like, what's he talking about? He's like, I'm talking about Bigfoot. And he just walked away. Like he didn't want any part of it. So then some other people came into the office and he was just like, okay. And he just changed the subject completely. And we started talking about the weather or whatever. And then he was like, hey, well, see you later. See you next time. And so that was it. And he left.
Jude's housekeeper swears that she sees aliens and UFOs on our beach. Some people do. I mean, and I'm not... What was awesome about your story is, like I said, Sean accepts you at face value, whatever. So he really wasn't blowing smoke up his. He was having a conversation with him. But what?
I didn't marry you, ATX.
I know this is me now. Thanks for letting me know. But do you see what I'm saying? Like he's so understanding. I said I would have had to laugh, and I wouldn't have laughed to be mean. I would have laughed because I would have, first of all, thought he was joking. So and by the time I laughed, then I would have offended him.
But I mean, I couldn't believe it, and I was drawn to it. Again, this is somebody, just picture somebody that you see around all the time in your town or wherever. I mean, and I see a lot of different people, but I'm not I'm not friends with them, but because of where I work, I just cross paths and I have business. I do business with them. So, this guy, I see him once a week, sometimes twice a week. And that's just he's never let on that anything like he's seen Bigfoot before or anything like that. He didn't seem like a very weird dude. He's he's kind of borderline odd, just because, the way he looks. And I'm not trying to say that to be mean. It's just, he's a peculiar fella. And yeah, just like that.
My husband and his best friend swear up and down they've seen an alien and they both saw it. So, I mean, hey, to each his own. My dad has the best, and I think I've said this before, my dad's rationale for why he doesn't disbelieve or believe is because he said, for me to say they don't exist would mean that I know everything there is to know about everything in the universe. That You're
talking about aliens, right?
Yeah. He says, and for me to say there's no such thing, I would need to know that. And how would I know that? And that makes a lot of sense.
I take it one step further. I think that if
y'all are
outer space,
y'all keep on talking about it. That's cool.
If outer space is in fact, outer space for millions of light years, I think it would be downright arrogant and pompous of us to think that we are the most intelligent life form ever.
Yeah.
And that there isn't somewhere out in the other worlds that there's not similar atmosphere or something else that has life.
Yeah.
And they could have been around and not destroyed. Here's the problem. This is the theory that people have, that beings that are intelligent and are evolved like human beings, if they do exist, they all end up destroying their planet.
That makes sense.
And before they become, what's the word? Not evolved, but enlightened enough to discover, like if we weren't destroying our planet and just killing each other and, disease and all that, it makes sense. And we just truly concentrated on love and forgiveness and just concentrated on, what was truly best for everything and just tried to learn all we could. I mean, how much would we know and how advanced would we be? But the problem with intelligent people like us with free will.
You sound like Leticia with intelligent people.
In that way.
She always says because I'm intelligent.
And then you hear these stories is that they end up destroying their planet. They end up destroying each other. And it would be ludicrous and really just arrogant to think that somewhere, somehow in the history of the universe, as infinite as it is, that there's not some being or something that knows how to watch us, knows how to contact us, and the scary thing about that is if that is in fact true,
I'm gonna check something. Go ahead.
They would be evolved enough to destroy us in an instant.
Like that.
Just like that, brutal, like Bigfoot.
But also,
like Bigfoot.
We're programmed to see things made of a certain material. You know what I mean?
So that's kind of my thing is you watch movies like Star Wars and all this, and somewhere out there's probably are life forms. But I just think that, I've never seen an alien or anything or a UFO, but I just think that the way my mind works is that logically there has to be something that's out there. Now, has it found us or this or that? Maybe not, but there's a life form out there somewhere.
Well, you have a whole developed theory. I didn't know that. I mean, really, I didn't know that.
Well, what about the other things we kind of have a debate about? Mandi and I have very different opinions of ghosts.
Yeah.
And extras. She just doesn't believe in ghosts.
And the thing about not believing, like, he made a good point. I said, I just don't believe, and I've never seen one, so that really makes me not believe. And you said something like, if you're not receptive to it, you may not see one.
And I think that people that have seen ghosts, and when you see them as a child, you will believe in forever. And I believe that I had seen some
Jeremy's
supernatural power, or whatever it is, when I was very, very young. I've always believed in ghosts. I think that there's just different planes and they're around, and sometimes they come through, and sometimes we were coming down Auraria, which is a backcountry street here, and it goes from Dawson County to Lumpkin County, and it's, I don't know, probably 9 miles, 10 miles of country road.
It's a good cut through.
And we were coming home one night, and it was like a foggy, sort of rainy night, and Mandi was...
Oh, that is right.
I was driving, and Mandi kind of said, "Did you see that?" And I was like, "No." She goes, "It looked like there was this figure on the side of the road," kind of however you described it.
Uh-huh. It was it was, and I can't even remember how I described it now. But right then it wasn't like a typical long shroud or whatever. Mm-hmm. It was someone with like long dark hair. What I described it was like one of those muslin suits that people wear. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like that Mormons wear under their clothes. So it wasn't like a big flowing shroud.
And so I didn't see any of it.
Cindy Lou Who.
I didn't see anything like that. So she was like, "But," and I said, "So it could have been. It could have been literally a person." We were driving, and I said it could be a ghost. I mean, this is the type of atmosphere and nights where they say that they can be seen. And she was like, and Mandi was kind of like, well, that's kind of ridiculous. Kind of, she said, that's ridiculous. And I was like, no, it isn't. You know, because I believe in
And
stuff
on
like
the
that.
on the off chance that that was actually a ghost, I'm still like, okay, you know, moving right along.
Yeah. And me too. Me too.
I
I'd
see
be the same
people
way.
in here that are like definitely believers in it. You think you saw someone who had died in a motorcycle accident in your childhood home?
In the late 70s, so when I was 10, we moved to Hickory, North Carolina, and I lived on 2nd Street Northwest. And it was right next to the tennis courts. And I was about 10 years old. And every so often, I would wake up and I would feel like somebody was looking at me and watching me. And one time, I kind of sensed it go to the end of the bed and kind of sit on the bed. And then, and then after a while, it would go away. And it's happened a couple times, maybe 3, every so often it would happen. And so years later, I found out, and we were getting ready to move and this and that. The people that lived there before we lived there had a son, and I think he was 17 or 18, and he died in a pretty bad motorcycle accident. And my room was his room. That was the room that when he died, before he died, his bedroom was the room that I now lived in.
I'm checking
So
Eleanor. Hold on. Okay.
I think, and when you die, you hear that, like when people die horrific deaths or they're murdered or there's something, the message that they want to give, they don't cross over or they can stay or they don't, and I think that was him. I think that he came to the room and he wasn't mean. He would look at me, and kind of stare down at me, and he would go to the back of the room and then he would disappear.
But I mean, I'm kind of like I am about my dad. If you believe that you saw that and you think you saw that, then who am I to say it didn't you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that like not tapping, but against the door, I thought maybe, because it smells like rain, so I thought Eleanor was dashing in. I can't keep that cat in. I make her stay in at night, but she says there's too much to do. The club's bumping to stay home all night.
And the fact that she was gone for 3 days, Lord knows where. But anyway, so
that's
I believe in stuff like that.
I think that's interesting.
And I think that because of the fact that I was young, when I had that experience, they say that ghosts, they appear to the innocent, and the people with more pure hearts, and that's the young kids. That's young people. They have more open minds, and they, before we do enough things in our lives where we muddle our brains and muddle ourselves. But and then if that happens to you at a young age, you kind of accept it. So as you move through life,
it weaves into your fiber.
It something that you're receptive to throughout your life, and so you believe in stuff like that. I do.
My dad used to tell me about a little. I'll let you catch up with the chat while I say this. My mom is like me. She's not I shouldn't say doesn't believe, but she's not a ghost hunter kind of thing, or doesn't believe. That's the only way I can think of to say it. But anyways, so when my grandmother died first, she died in hospice, and then my grandfather died almost 2 years to the day that she passed away. It was Thanksgiving. She died the day after Christmas, but Thanksgiving, almost 2 years later, he passed away. And they were in their mid-80s. She had cancer. He was about mid-80s, maybe 87 at the most. But anyways, after, he passed away and they sold the house, my grandparents' house, and it was redone and what have you. Well, one day my mom stopped by. She wanted to get pictures of the outside of the house and like the pigeon pen in the back. And it was about 2 years later, and they had said, come by if you ever, and the guy said he had no idea, what had happened or anything like that. And he said that he had seen a ghost of a man. And he would go up and down the halls looking for somebody.
The comments in here are...
So I don't know what he was looking for but you know, my mom passed that on to me and said, oh, it could have been anything. But it was like my grandfather did spend 2 years kind of wandering that house, missing my grandmother. So, hey, Mama Ricky. So that was her experience. And I said, well, do you think it's true? And she said, kind of the same thing. And she said, well, why would he be wandering and I'm like, I don't know, but you know what I mean? Until they're reunited, but he was already passed away. So I guess you have to kind of know what you believe in order to reason through that. Because when he passed away, and it was literally a broken heart. I mean, he didn't want to face another Thanksgiving. It was, so I don't know why he would be wandering the house sometimes if once he passed away, they were reunited. I don't know. That was the thing I didn't understand. Hey, Missy. I'm about to put you down. You're jumping all over my...
I know. He's like, there's something over there. So, yeah, I mean...
Oh,
so,
let me place... Ricky's has a message that I need to pin to pass on. Thank you, Ricky. Ricky, did you watch the stream from yesterday where we talked about the fantasy football and what his cousin said?
Yeah.
Let me know if you saw. If not, we'll briefly talk about it. It was funny.
Pretty funny.
It was really sweet. Ricky doesn't mince words. She's very good with her words.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But that's an interesting... The last time we had a really good discussion on a stream, remember about when we went to the cemetery and we found my son's...
Yeah.
That one...
See, I believe in stuff like that, and just coincidence. And I was like, I don't think it was. Do you guys remember the story that we told? We were living in Texas.
I'll try to find it and post it. It was a pretty lengthy story.
And
my son is alive. It has nothing to do with that. What?
Angela says we're buffering.
The weather's getting bad. Tell me. I don't see that it's buffering. Is it still?
It's kind of yucky out.
Usually let it go tells us when it's...
Yeah, if you let it go, it'll be like, y'all
let it go,
suck
like,
right
fix
now.
your thing right now. Which is good.
So Mama Ricky said no, he didn't get to catch it. Well, when we were at the...
Aww.
Uh-oh. It
You're
looks good here.
Okay, it cleared up, it looks like.
We were at the pool at the family reunion, and Andy, you know Andy, Ricky, cousin Andy, he was there. He was on the live stream, and so he's sitting by the pool and he's looking at a fantasy football, a magazine, because he does all that stuff. He's a gambler. He plays poker and he does fantasy. He does all this stuff. And I'm talking, hey, I'm in the pool, and I'm like, hey, you studying up on your fantasy football? He's like, yeah, and this and that. And we're talking about fantasy football. He gets up to go inside, and I go, yeah, so how many do you have in his league? He goes, well, I'm in a league with Mama Ricky. And I was like, well, and for a minute, I forgot that he knows our community. And he goes, no, I'm just kidding.
But it was he didn't miss a beat. He was like, yeah, I'm in with, and we were going to say, and our first instinct was, we know him. And then we realized.
we realized that he was,
it was really cute. It was cute. Like I said, he's a super nice guy.
Yeah.
Different than I imagined. Like, I knew I had what I thought he would be like. And he was a little bit like that. But a super nice, genuine person.
Yeah, he is.
All of your family's genuine.
There's a good chance he's lurking. He popped up on the stream. Yes, he's like,
she's all for it. Yeah. I was like, right, fantasy football league. Does that sound kinky? But he's always reading something or listening to something.
Yeah.
But if you want to like have a conversation, he'll put it all down. But I think his mind has to constantly.
Yeah.
Be fixed.
And there's several people in our family that are like that, that are very...
I've never been to a place where they have two big old jigsaw puzzles going that people...
Yep. One was like in a thousand piece one.
And people would come through and work a few and then and go off, but it was like never...
Yeah, see, that's so normal for me, but I guess for that happening in my family, but for someone that was meeting them for the first time, what she means is... Up in the master dining room that was up on the top floor where we stayed, there's a bunch of tables, almost like cafeteria, but nicer. They're like a lodge dining area and there's probably like maybe 8 tables.
Oh, at least, yeah.
In the one area, and then couches, and then there's tables outside. And on 2 of the tables, they were dominated by puzzles. Like each one had a puzzle, a big puzzle of 1,000-piece puzzle. One was a 500-piece puzzle. And Mandy's right. Everybody kind of walks by it during the day, and several people will stop and work on the puzzle for 15 minutes, and then they move on.
Mm-hmm.
But I bet you by the end of that was the mission.
It was
by
just
the end
about
of the
finished. Yeah.
by the end of the week, that puzzles were supposed to be done.
Yeah.
So
I tell Whiplash, thanks guys. Grain farmers appreciate. Oh, you need the rain, huh? For the grain farmers. Oh man.
What part of the country is that again?
She'll have to tell us. 5 years ago. Yeah, 5 years ago.
A year ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah, 5 years ago. What was I doing 5 years ago? Not you.
No. We weren't doing each other.
But the one thing, and I'm pretty open about the fact that I've been to rehab to get off of opioids and alcohol in my past. So I was in like this little hybrid section. There was the substance abuse thing, and then there was the mental health, and there was a door that connected it. Well, because they were trying to balance my meds and do whatever, I got to go. I stayed on the mental health side, but I walked through to the substance abuse side, like in the mornings, and then would come back for something else. And so on the mental health side, I watched them, and hardly 5 people in no time flat put together a solid color, round, 2,000 pieces. I can't even tell. I mean, it was huge. And they did it like, in a amazing amount, just a couple days.
No, Ricky, it's not that.
Just a couple of times. And what was funny is I was like, you guys, it wasn't funny, but I was like, y'all are amazing or whatever. And they said, yeah, we think pretty well. If we can keep from taking our own lives, we're pretty good thinkers. And I remember I was just like, and they started laughing, and I was like, oh my gosh. But they got each other's humor. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? They got
yeah.
That's not my story, is not, an attempt, but that was theirs. And I was like, wow. And they got each other. But I always say I was a hybrid, mental health and substance abuse. I could go
like
back
a dual
and forth.
diagnosis or whatever. So the word gets around where they're veterans, like again at my job. So I don't tell everybody, but I may talk to 1 or 2 people that I see, and then they tell 1 or 2 people, and then they tell 1 or 2 people. So after a while, people know, that I was a veteran, a career soldier, whatever. So you can just have your head down or not even be paying attention, and somebody can come in and say a phrase or do something or act a certain way, and it immediately connects you, and they do it on purpose because, veterans are really good about connecting with other veterans
And seeing who's...
you don't even have to, you can just kind of look and just, and know.
I kind of thought there was something also going on in Florida because there's no cuties anywhere, the oranges. And I know if it's exceptionally wet or very, very dry, they obviously, I'm pretty sure that's where they come from. I know navel oranges do, but I think cuties do too, the little oranges. And there's none anywhere this year. None, not any.
Between that and the work shortage,
yeah,
and inflation,
I found
it's just
out today. So, that's cool. Mama said my gastrointestinal doctor is a vet. I found out that today, so I knew I was in good hands. I have a dumb question, Sean.
Yeah, I saw it. I guess what month was it? It was in
August. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And I believe we got married on September the 19th. So it must have been. Then it would have been final on like August the 18th.
September 11th.
No.
19th.
That was the first day we
could
get married. That was when. So then October, because you had to be divorced 30 days.
You had to be divorced 30 days. So yeah, it was like August 10th or something.
And the whole rush into a new relationship, we sure the hell did. And we've loved every minute of it. Every minute of it.
Rush.
We rushed right in.
So yeah, I mean, I guess if she is saying that will be true in a month. Like on Friday will be, Sunday will be the 10th.
August the 12th, I think, is the decree date.
I think it's earlier. I think it's like the 10th. Yeah.
Because it had to be 30 days, and 30 days.
Well, we
was
can go
September
back
the
in our
11th.
community page and didn't
look
we
it
put it
up.
up?
We
Yeah.
put the marriage license when we got it.
Yeah.
That was a happy day when we finally. I've told the story like a whole bunch of times, but when we were sitting in his attorney's office waiting to be seen, and we were tired, and we were getting the stuff out of the storage unit, trying to get in and out before Satan knew we were there, and so that she didn't try to have him arrested for some bullshit.
Oh my God.
And we looked across at each other, and we were tired. We were just ready to be married and be done with this nightmare of a chapter. And I remember we looked at each other and we kind of smiled, and it was like, I love you. Because we couldn't sit by each other because of COVID. And they enforced the rule even though, no, that wasn't during COVID, but they did have us sit. There wasn't any room, so we sat across from each other. And that was kind of when we were like, okay, so no matter how the little hills that we have to,
we climb them
in our life, situational, not so much like between the two of us, but things that we face, we've come a long way. We've got rid of that portion of his life, my life too, for that matter. We're married. We have a house. We have chickens. We have animals.
chickens.
We have a relationship. But go ahead and cry about your family, Sean. My family.
No, my parents talk to me. But I saw in the comments, I saw somebody say they were a Mariners fan. So
Hey, Lisa.
who's talking about baseball? Mariners fan. You have a new player.
Yes.
Julio Rodriguez.
I'm pinning that.
He's going to be a real good one.
That should go on a bumper sticker. Hey, Danny. Danny's a Mariners fan. Mm-hmm. Ricky said the night she threw him out will forever be known as Sean's Freedom March. He was like, yeah, I'm my head out.
Remember, you did a video about the dog getting over the fence?
It was like, for the first couple years, we still, we celebrated it like the anniversary of Evita. I don't think we did last year. Did the chickens miss you like Sawyer did? No.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess Angela posted about Ozzy in the chat. I saw.
Yeah, that was, the rest of them were okay. They had food and water. We noticed Ozzy was a little sluggish before we went. But we had fans, we had everything.
Yeah. He's a black chicken, he didn't do real good in the heat. We put shade, we had everything.
They had cold water running.
Yep.
Let's put him down.
So
here.
on the timer,
there you go, baby.
The timer had on the hose, so every 4 hours for 8 minutes it would flow water from the hose. So you got to take about the first 20 seconds to get the hot water out of the hose, because the hose is running the length of the house. So they have about 7 good minutes of ice, of cold water to refill the bowl. And I had the timer set to go every 4 hours, and it did. One
of the things we noticed about him is when we let them free range, sometimes that's what it's called, right? Mm-hmm. He wouldn't ever leave the pen, and he would almost just kind of stare off into space, and he didn't defend the chickens like roosters normally do or whatever. I can imagine, Jude, parrots are very, very, people don't understand. They will be depressed if they don't have. So when we got back, Ozzy was in the chicken coop and he didn't make it.
Yeah, and I could tell he hadn't been gone long. It was like that day. Because you can just tell, because there was no decomposition, like he didn't die like at the beginning of the week. There wasn't anything. I mean, because when a chicken dies, I mean, the parasites get it pretty quickly, like within hours.
And they go into if it's a slow demise, they'll go into a corner.
He was in the middle of it, and the other chickens, because it was about 11 o'clock at night, the other chickens were...
I've heard that, Jude. Go ahead.
Right there sleeping by him.
Yeah.
So they normally they'll not be around it. So, and you're right. You said that, and that's the only thing that makes me sad about it. You said that like your bird would go into a depression, and I mean maybe that was a contributing factor, but he wasn't good in the heat.
Everybody else would go into the shade we provided or go inside where there was a fan.
He'd just sit out there.
He would just stand there.
And I would have to take him and put him in. So about 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, I started opening the cage during the day and letting them free range all out in the yard.
When we're here.
When we're here, he wouldn't go.
He wouldn't
and
go.
then when he would manage to get out, he didn't know how to find his way back.
He just wasn't a...
Yeah, we had, you know, and...
that was extremely hard.
Very
hard.
Yeah, it was tough.
But there's one of the brown silkies that we've had. I know y'all have seen pictures. There's a black one and 2 brown ones. One of them is a rooster, and he's turning out to be a little spitfire.
Yeah, we're gonna have to take some video.
And his
for y'all.
name is Axel.
He named him Axel.
His name is Axel.
So he's about this big.
Because his hair is brown and it.
Yeah, it looks like of the 4 silkies we have one.
Thank you, Angela.
It looks like the way it's looking now is we have only
hens.
one rooster and the rest hens, which would be great.
He was making the little Aussie noises the other day.
Yeah, so the little one is like he's starting to make the noises. So
and then he came and he
pecked her. He pecked her.
Did. He kind of lunged at Sawyer like Axl Rose.
Like Axl Rose.
He lunged at Sawyer a little bit, and Sawyer backed up a little bit, and
he pecked you.
He pecked me. He walked right up to me and pecked, and I was like, "That's a rooster."
It's a rooster.
Yeah. Sawyer knows how. No, you stay down there. Sawyer knows how to round him up, and I told Sean, "Oh, you got him, Karen.
What kind did you get?
Me.
What kind did you get?"
Karen's probably like, "Oh, I don't think this sounds like fun anymore." But Sawyer rounds him up. I told Sean, I said at night, females, we know for sure 5 of them are females. Oh, you got that from probably Tractor Supply. She lives there too, like we do.
What do you know what kind they are? That would be.
We get like you can really be foul. Who? Angela, Jude really need a video bird. Oh, I love cussing parrots. Oh my gosh, I love parrots that cuss. When you see the videos of it, I can roll for hours. The worse the language, the better.
Oh my God.
I think it's hilarious. So yeah, we have a little Axel that's up and coming. This is probably the first day we've actually been able to even like talk about it. He was our buddy.
Yeah.
We're looking for, hey, just being me, I grew up with roosters, pheasants, chickens, and a turkey. We had that's awesome. We got 5 Eastern, 2 Leghorns, and 2 Australops. What is that?
Yeah, see?
What is an Australop?
Australorps. They're like dark colored.
I've got a roost.
Australorps are supposed to be good roosters. But they got Easter eggers. Remember I was talking about the Easter eggers?
Yes, they tried to sell us a guinea. And I didn't know what the heck was.
Jude said her bird has outlived 4 of her marriages.
That's, Winston Churchill's parrot's still alive.
Really?
And it up until recently it said, fuck the Nazis. I don't know if it still does or not. One of his grandnephews or something got it. It's true, yeah, he's still alive. They can live like 100 years or something like that.
See, okay, so I was telling Mandi on the way back, the next 4 that we get, I want Rhode Island Reds or Easter eggers. And when we went into Tractor Supply Saturday to get the stuff to clean the coop, they had it said Easter eggers on the thing, but they were all out.
Yes, Winston, how many marriages did Winston have? I think he was married to the same lady for all the time. There's like speculation according to the Crown that he might have had a little girlfriend, but they didn't go like all the way there. But I think he was married to the same lady for quite a while, I think. If you haven't seen The Crown, I haven't seen probably the most recent season or whatever you call it, but it's a good show.
Like most of the things that we don't watch much TV, but when we were living in Texas during COVID, we got stuff to binge watch, but I would binge watch it and she'd fall asleep.
Because I'd already seen those, but I wanted you to catch up with.
Those of y'all that have watched The Crown, I watched it until The Fog.
Yeah.
So it was like 4 episodes.
We were doing several. We were doing Nip Tuck.
I did 3 seasons of Nip Tuck, and that got really weird.
Very weird.
I did about 4 episodes of The Crown.
I didn't know that you got those. Go ahead.
What?
I didn't know she had gotten the chicks.
Oh, yeah. That's cool, though.
Anyway, go ahead.
Easter eggers. I'm kind of jealous because the Easter eggers are like dark colors, like a purple, a black, and
I love the silkies, but they're not very hardy. They are the cutest, friendliest.
The 3 that we originally got seem to be doing. They've done pretty well.
Yeah, Nip Tuck was one heck of a good show for about 3 seasons, 4. I don't know how long it was on, and but the last
It got weird.
2 seasons, I quit watching it during the last one. It got so weird. I couldn't watch it. Mockingbirds, he roamed all over. Oh, I know who you're talking about. I can't think of the name right now, but I know who you're talking about. Is William here?
Well, it's someone named
Oh, is it William?
William Wilson.
Yes, William. Hey, I know William. Because I was like, "Are you a friend of Bill?" And he was like, "No, but the same name." It was kind of funny. If that was the other thing, if anybody's browsing on eBay and sees like a yard statue of a silky, like not it doesn't have to be a realistic size. Please send me the link. And I'm not eBaying. I don't want you to buy it, but I'm having trouble finding one. We
want to put a little monument to Ozzy out there.
He was our first rooster.
Yeah,
So-
this is me now. Said I've watched Nip Tuck twice. It just got weird, like the middle of the 3rd season.
The Pitbull peanut butter thing. That was when
weird.
I was like, yeah, I got to sign off with this one. Pitbull, and it just got too weird.
Gigi Ragdoll says Yellowstone is my jam. We keep hearing that. Yellowstone is something to watch.
What was the other one? Ozark?
Ozark and Yellowstone. But that's just, we don't watch a lot of
sissy.
TV. It's mostly sports.
What is the one, who is the one, what is the show where they have different seasons, they have different country and western stars in it? I think Blake was in one season or what have you.
Really?
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
I'd like to, we have a lot that we need to watch. Do we still have Netflix? Because we never watch it. Are we still paying for it? Oh.
He's out in the front yard now.
Let her make her come in. Okay, so Yellowstone, I keep hearing over and over again, we've got to watch it. So that's going to be a priority. We need to start binge watching things on the weekends.
I know.
Lately, it's just been...
You're too busy playing video games, though.
Yeah, I love video games. We actually spend most of the weekend messing with the chicken coop. Who would have ever thought that would have been who would have ever thought ATX's favorite pastime on the weekend would be taking care of chickens and eventually a goat when we get a goat. Might have been Nashville. Oh, it's filmed in your hometown. Okay, we're gonna start it. Is it easy to get into? Like Breaking Bad, I tried to watch it and I couldn't get into it. So is it easy to get into, or is it like you gotta give it half a season or a season? That's the only thing I'm wondering.
Come on, baby.
Come
on, Annie.
Make sure Nip Tuck, yep, got very, very weird.
Come on.
There was one I wanted to look
Annie, come on.
that I missed.
She's just standing here looking at me.
You have to pick her up and bring her in. She's afraid the keys are in the door. The keys fell on Ellie one time out of the lock and she doesn't trust it. Just pick her up and bring her in. Poor Ellie.
Eleanor right here.
Yeah, so Breaking Bad, I just couldn't get into it. I got the concept, but I couldn't get into it. He's going to show you Miss Ellie. Look at her. Look. We do watch Naked and Afraid. That's not even... He'll show you. She's so little. She says...
That's our Eleanor.
That's... Okay. She's still... Y'all remember when she was a kitten? Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Paula. Yes, we watched Naked and Afraid. As a matter of fact, the first time we hooked up at the Crown Plaza in Austin, Texas for 5 beautiful days.
Starting June 2nd.
Starting June 2nd. And I don't want to kiss and tell, but 5 beautiful days. Room service mainly. Very expensive room service. Even though it wasn't a real fancy hotel, the room service thought that they were.
I mean, we did some not so good hotels along our journey, but
that one was.
That one, Mandi was kind of like, if you can come to Austin, and it was like you're paying, it kind of like appropriate. It was like I'm gonna fly out there. I made the hotel, and I didn't want it to be. I chose the Crown Plaza because I wanted it to be nice.
Yeah, it could have been the Motel 6 for all I cared.
Yeah.
I want a goat. I woke up to a bang and a goat in my living room.
To a bang and a goat. If we get this
we
fenced,
watched Naked and Afraid. He introduced me to it. He called it Naked People.
I call it Naked People. 2 things. The first thing is, we don't own this place. So if we can get our landlord to put a fence up, we'll have a goat. I'll figure out how to keep a goat.
Oh my
and then we don't have to have the landscaper anymore.
Yeah.
But
I love our yard person, but we never know when he's coming.
I know.
He'll be like, I'll be there within an hour. And I'm
Yesterday's
like, okay,
the
let me
4th of July.
Venmo you.
4th of July at 6 o'clock in the afternoon. He's like, I'm here.
He said, I'll be there. I was like, he's probably sitting around like, we need beer money. Well, tell you what.
All right.
I haven't mowed
They
this
pay
yard
good.
yet.
I pay him.
We tip well because it's so
We
hot.
settled on what he thought was fair for our yard, and then I pay him about 10% more than.
Because it's so hot.
Yeah, because it's really hot. Maybe 20% more. So he's pleased to come over to do what he gets paid to do our yard. It's worth it for him because he's only here 40 minutes.
We call
maybe.
it mowing our dirt. We
Yeah.
have some grass, but we also have Georgia red clay on a large amount of. I'd always heard of Georgia red clay, but I'd never seen it. It stains. It's on everything.
Like Sawyer goes out after a rain, and he's got white feet. He's got white legs. His paws are red.
Yeah.
Um,
But because Ricky asked about who asked about Naked and Afraid? It was. Why did I assume it was Ricky? Because that would be a normal question. Oh, this is me now.
we do like Naked and Afraid.
Paula sent us the thing for the yard decor. She sent us the link to it.
It's got cool.
And
Here,
how
I'm gonna screenshot
Sean
that.
loves to joke about how he's just how. Well, Ricky said it before, like how endowed he is, and it's a machismo kind of a joke, not really,
No,
but
it's true.
But he said if he had to, if they had to, I mean it is, but if they had to blur out him on Naked and Afraid, he goes, that blur would be all the way to the ground. They wouldn't see anything. It would be from there all the way to the ground.
You'd think something was wrong with your TV. It'd be like, don't adjust your dial. Tomahawk Sean is just on.
He knows that makes me when he when he starts talking about that stuff, it makes me laugh because. You were already pretty confident, and we were just talking, and you're like, "Look, you're gonna be super impressed." And I was like, "Wow, this guy."
Yeah, and I didn't realize that it was later when she would when we were just only talking, and she was like, "This guy really thinks a lot of himself." I mean,
it's when he starts talking, it's so funny. It makes, and it's not even really foul when he does it. He just says like,
"It's matter of
fact."
fact."
That one time when you said the Georgia white snake, you remember? Ricky and Pam called it the white anaconda or something like that. It was Georgia white snake.
Georgia white
and
snake.
He said, he goes, it's kind of like the side view mirror. Things appear larger in real life than they are. I was like, I'll give him that. That's a good joke. That was a good little.
Leticia got baby gifts, and she's mad about it.
She's mad. She said nobody takes care of her.
Reminds me of somebody that would get stuff for the dog from her Amazon wish list, and it would piss her off.
I'm not going to do
I digress.
Put this number and that number because that's dumb. But how many... Tell me in here, if you're lurking, you may not want to be seen with us. But how many of you believe that she is pregnant and how many believe she's not pregnant? I'm curious.
1, if you think she is. 2, if you don't think she is. So.
Yeah, I'm really, really curious about that. What did Angela say?
If they didn't...
Yeah, and it's the same ones that love the disturbed women. That's like, I'm sorry, Classic, you're a weirdo. You like disturbed, messy women. I don't know if you're still, with that. Not.
Mostly.
See, nobody thinks that bedtime.
There's your bedtime
Nobody thinks that it's, what was the 2, not pregnant?
2 was the not pregnant.
See, yeah. And people that that think she's not pregnant are people that I put stock in the fact that they would, and she said she was 7.5 months pregnant on her stream this morning, or maybe it was yesterday or an upload.
It was like 2 months ago. She was 4 months pregnant.
She's 8 months
yeah,
pregnant. It's so.
And I know there's some of you out there. I mean, we're a community that will take a picture and look at it and this and that. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Hey, Carrie Bear. Now I'm gonna say hi to the people that. I've had to do that too before. If I'm watching somebody that I'm kind of there on the fence about me, trust me, I'll walk up into anybody's chat. I don't mind.
Paula says her stomach looks like icky.
But
I don't watch that one, so
back and forth. But when you saw her dancing, didn't you see a couple of like like, well,
It
I said
looked,
she
a
doesn't
couple
look
of the
like.
angles looked like a baby bump. Some of the angles,
You
like
can see the dimensions of something in
yeah.
there, but she doesn't look like she has a lot of amniotic fluid. And if that's the case, she needs to definitely get that seen. But, I was always like, yeah, that's a likely story that she's not. But as I watched her up her months pregnant, I've quickly and yeah, and the thing is if you want to believe that you're pregnant, you can have what's called like a hysterical pregnancy. Someone knows about that. I saw it on a soap opera on The Young and the Restless. Ashley desperately wanted to be pregnant
because The Young and the Restless is good.
but it's called like is it a histrionic pregnancy or a hysterical pregnancy or something
yeah.
like that? She has the oddest pregnant belly if she is. Yeah. And she always says, look, you can see how hard it is right now. Okay, now it's soft. I never said that when I was pregnant. Hard, you're either got a baby or you don't, and it's hard. The baby doesn't get soft.
Like
I don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Her belly button is very deep. Okay, at 8 months pregnant, it should be
out. It's an outie kind of, right?
Well, mine never did pop all the way out. I know they're supposed to.
Ellie's over there. See, when Ellie is here,
phantom pregnancy. See, the nurse
phantom
knows.
pregnancy. She will sleep on this. Y'all seen pictures of our little streaming couch that we got. She's sitting over there in the corner. And when we're done, she'll jump right up in here because she likes to sleep on it anyway. But after we stream, it's nice and warm. She'll jump right up.
Pseudodiastasis is false pregnancy. And your body creates the sac, Sean. Even your boobies can get leaky.
Really?
Yeah.
You can lactate and all that?
Yeah. You can even, if you adopt a baby, do you know you can prepare, like, you can like supplement with, if the baby starts nursing on you, and I do think this is strange, don't get me wrong, you will create milk, and there's adoptive mothers that nurse based on, they have like a bottle of formula for a while, and the tube comes down to here, so they're getting something, and then their body creates milk. Tell me I'm wrong. I've seen it. It was in What to Expect When You're Expecting. Yeah, I got a food baby.
Yeah.
I'm about to have another food baby when I eat the rest of our hibachi tonight.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a food baby too because I made homemade chicken nuggets. Like I cut chicken breast up and put the Parmesan shake and bake on it, and then I sprinkle the mozzarella on top. Yeah,
they're good. He's like a regular chef, Guy Fieri.
Every once in a while. I think it's odd too. Another thing is that we have pet chickens, but we eat chickens.
Tell them what you do with chicken.
Sometimes the leftover, when the chicken, I'm not sure if it's good or bad, or I cook it and it's been leftovers, I give it to the chickens.
He's kidding. He doesn't do that. But that would be bad.
Well, I've given them chicken nuggets.
But not nasty.
Yeah, not bad food, but like.
And I said,
I don't, look, if it's leftovers and we're not going to eat it and it's good, I don't like to throw anything out. I will look and see if they can eat it. They can eat almost everything,
Ooh, yeah.
but I've been told that things like pasta and processed breads are not good for them.
We don't do that.
So potatoes are literally not good.
Hey, Belt Loop 29, what's up?
So
that looks like that could be my son's name. Hey, what did you say? 3 pregnancies, never had flab. Just see, I didn't either, and I was a big pregnant girl. I mean, I wasn't like, I was overweight when I got pregnant, so I've been a big pregnant girl. That what she's got doesn't, and it always seems like when she poses, especially in her car, she would be trying to do like this, and it's still, I don't know.
Today, when I saw that little striptease, for the 40 seconds before my retinas burned, it didn't look pregnant. But then she had a couple angles where she did. I just think it's bizarre that there's any type of striptease when you would be with child. Why would you do it? But I get it. But she, if you listen to her, I probably watch her more than I should. Mm-hmm. When she's in a mood and she's talking about nobody wants a fat pregnant woman and blah 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 blah, she will pretty much tell you that she uses herself, uses her body, and uses sex as a weapon. When she's like nobody wants to.
I love it when she talks about her pheromones. It annoys Sean a lot when she talks about how men are just animals. That gets on your nerves. When
I just think it's...
She goes, you take your clothes off and men are just
like
apes.
She talks about how men are apes and this and that and how they all want her, but then she knows that she uses that. She uses her sexuality. She uses that, and then turns around and then disparages people that are receptive to what she's doing. I mean, so
Yeah, I saw Randy read that where she was advertising herself for sex. I don't know where they found it. That I didn't see.
there was like an ad
But
or
she
something
was
like that.
talking about how she's great down there because she's pregnant and hasn't been with anyone in a long time. So then it literally said, "Can't wait to feel you," or something like that.
Yeah, and then she'll turn
I'll
right
feel
back
you later,
around,
or something like that.
and as a news flash, if you do that, you will get some person to answer your ad. But when they pump and dump,
And nobody's
splash
there.
and dash, you can't be too upset.
See? And there's no possible way that those men showed up to cuddle.
Right.
They're like, I can cuddle with what I got at home.
Oh my God.
I can cuddle with my lab. And
Look at that.
so
I need a haircut, by
and
the
then
way.
she said she wanted to get hers and whatever. And so well, welcome,
Rock
Bella Luke.
apes.
It's good to see you. She's hit the scene, and I tell you what, anybody else's bad behavior has been pushed to the side to watch this one come
I mean,
straight.
I listen to it.
When we figure out whether or not she has a baby or not, that'll be when she goes away.
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe not.
She can't keep the charade up forever. She'll have to. She'll
Sean
have
said
to
splash.
come up
I
with
know.
She'll have to come up with a really sick scenario where she loses the baby or something like that.
Do you know that
Because if she's not pregnant, we're gonna know.
Queen
pretty
Elizabeth I, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was Queen Elizabeth I, one of Henry VIII's daughters,
soon.
convinced.
Why did you pin that? Sean said splash and dash.
Convinced
Pump and dump.
the that's if you drink and you breastfeed, you pump it and dump it so that you don't give it to the baby if you have alcohol in your
Call
system.
slam and
You
scram.
wanna, oh my God.
Slam and scram.
I've never heard that one. She's gone from 6 or 7. She said she got pregnant in December, right? December to January to February to March to April to May to June, July, August. She can't be 8 months pregnant.
No.
She can't be. Well, it's interesting. She says, which does not. Yeah, I don't even think.
Who was that said? Who said that comment? Someone on Dr. Phil has been on, said she's been pregnant for 3.5 years.
That one we saw, right?
Well, someone just made a comment about it.
Yeah, I watched half of one the other day. What's funny is I used to watch Dr. Phil occasionally. Now I can't watch it because when I see him, I'm like, think about you sitting next to it, and it just seems so. It's not bad, but he gets on my nerves because I know what the real deal is with the show. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, when it's on, because it's still the #1 daytime. I mean, it's on all the time. I sat there with the dude, just not much further than we are, during that whole show when, when she collapsed and when they took her off stage, they went to a commercial break, and when they were done with the commercial break, I guess the way they did it was but it was about a good 15, 20 minutes, where I just sat there with the audience and Phil and just talked about stuff. But
my favorite line was when he said, "Can you help me out here?" And you didn't, and then you're like, "What we can all agree on is it doesn't need to be on YouTube."
Well,
that was a really good save. That was an excellent save.
Well, what did he say?
And you kind of turned your mouth up. It was really cute.
The Truman Show, right? He said it was like the Truman Show. My life is like I said the Truman Show. Is that what I said? Whatever show. Yeah.
But you kind of curled your mouth out before you said it, and it was very, very sexy.
I said, well.
It was very sexy. No, not like that. You don't even know how you did it.
I mean.
Do you know how you did it?
No, how to do it.
I can't show you. I would look stupid. But he had like pounds of makeup on. You didn't even have to shave.
I had a 5 o'clock. More than a 5 o'clock shadow. And I'm like, I guess I need to shave this. And they said, we're going to put enough makeup on where you're not even going to.
Were you tired and pissed off?
Well, that was when I flew in.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, the show they filmed on a Wednesday. I flew in on a Monday. And I worked a double. I'd worked like 10 hours at work. Took the dog to where they were going to stay, and then got on like a 5 o'clock in the morning flight. So by the time I got to the West Coast, and you lose time, you know, I mean,
Wow.
it seems like a 3 hour flight. It's really a 6 hour flight, but you get those hours back. So it was only
Thank
about
you,
9 o'clock in the morning when I landed, when it was really like 1 or 2 and I was tired, and they rushed me right over, and they needed to do A rows of B-roll. I was pissed off.
You really didn't want to be there.
I didn't want to be there.
I mean, you didn't mind the trip to California. It was the purpose of.
So I landed in LAX, and so because I was going to be on a show, when I came down out of the plane, there was someone holding up, the sign, with my name on it, and he was like it was a blacked out Suburban that I was in, and
Did it say John Holmes?
so they took me down to get my luggage in like a little celebrity area, and there was paparazzi taking pictures. The guy Buckley, the guitarist for Coldplay, he was down there getting his luggage. So there's people and they're just taking pictures of everybody as they come out, because they don't know who we are. They don't know who I was, and so there's a rows of limos and like Suburbans and stuff, because it's Los Angeles, it's Hollywood. So people are coming into LAX all the time. So I got into my ride. He took my bags and he puts me in the back, and I'm in the back seat of a Suburban. It's got a bar and all that. And I asked the guy, I said, so do you chauffeur people? I mean, has there been anybody famous in this? And he's told me that yesterday he was the limo driver for the cast of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Anybody that's ever watched that show, they were in that same car the day before, which I find odd, because it's the Real Housewives of Atlanta was filmed in Hollywood.
That's funny. Was there a bar in it?
Yeah, there was
So you were allowed to drink whatever you wanted in there?
It was all whatever I wanted.
Did you drink anything?
No, I wasn't drinking.
You weren't? No, but I mean, even a Coke or anything?
I didn't. I was all pissed off. So I sat behind, the passenger seat of the front seat. I sat there. So my driver was there, and he was a cool dude. He showed me, as he was driving me to the loft for the filming and stuff, he pointed out Johnny Cochran's office, the guy that defended OJ. He pointed out a couple of places along the way.
And you saw the Minecraft mansion.
Well, that was on a tour that we took.
Y'all know Minecraft, right? Even if you haven't played it, you've probably seen
a tour that we took. Tuesday before filming, we saw things like the creator of Minecraft. We saw his mansion.
Yes,
we saw Hugh Hefner's play. He had just passed away. If y'all remember, during that time, Hugh Hefner had passed away. So there was all kinds of stuff. And then it's outside the window where Michael Jackson died. Michael Jackson. It was actually kind of a corner house. So if you remember the pictures as they pulled up, it was a window. I got that, it stopped there, and we got to see that house. And then around the side was the little private driveway entrance where the ambulance that took Michael Jackson's body out. So I got to see that. So then when we were going down Mulholland Boulevard, you could see Gwen Stefani's ranch. This was before she was with Blake. She had a place out there in Hollywood.
They've been together for longer than that.
Well, she had a place in Hollywood, and Denzel's place, and there was one other person's place that.
But the Minecraft place.
Minecraft looked just like Minecraft. It was this big, huge estate, and it was all in cubes, and a lot of them were glass, and you could see right in to the house.
Everyone's talking about one of the things that Leticia said. Yes, she absolutely did say that. She talked about how endowed the baby daddy was.
Really?
And said, but then sometimes he's not. So
That's what happens. It just depends on whatever kind of mood she's in.
Yeah. Whatever her little borderline decides she's going to say. No offense to people with borderline. I got a couple family members. But her specifically.
Everybody's
that she's admitted to having.
Everybody's family is touched by that, I think. I mean, if you have a big family.
What I don't understand is why she can sit there and say, well, first of all, if she sleeps that heavy, she might want to have a sleep study done, because I'm just saying, I don't understand how he would hit it spot on without her waking up. That's foreign to me. And then I guess they were spooning, and then she was so asleep she didn't know, and just boom.
He just did her again?
No, that was the first time.
Oh.
And then the second time she did it because she wanted to enjoy it because she didn't the first time. And then he threw $50 and left the Airbnb and said, "Have
He
fun."
gave her $50 and left?
Yeah, left and
Wow.
said you have 4 more days. And she tried to say she didn't stay there for the next 4 days, but she did.
He went back and she had the Airbnb for herself.
And then she started harassing him and texting him or whatever until he finally, like months later, said, "I'm not gonna," what did he say? "I'm not gonna be with you. Stop contacting me." And then
Rhonda says he's definitely not the father, in my opinion.
And
so
she-
there was what? It's 2 different ones in that time frame that we know of.
yeah.
That we know of.
She says that she knows how long sperm stays alive inside the human body. And even though she slept with half the town in a 3-day period, the sperm that would have been alive when she got pregnant
It had to be him.
was JW's.
Wow. Good
Yeah.
job, JW.
And I don't think she's pregnant.
Good job, man.
She thought she was going to get a military man to be convinced that it was his baby and he was going to marry her and do the right thing. It was a trap baby.
Yeah.
Better than you have tried it and it didn't work.
You got to be awful crazy to do that because
I haven't seen JW what he looks like. One of you needs to drop that in my DM or my text. I haven't seen him.
They have like his basic training picture or something.
Her dad came up as a recommended friend on Facebook.
Really?
Yeah. It's this. I'm not going to dox him, but
He
I'm
looks
gonna
ex-
same name as
That's
the brother,
right.
only the senior.
Yeah, that's right. I saw that picture. He looks
Whenever-
exhausted, doesn't he? In his profile picture, he looks tired.
This when you're trying to figure out how people steal pictures or find this or find that, Facebook is the weak link. You don't know how it comes up or why it comes up, but something will ding like in the machine and it will pull up people that are just random people that you don't even really associate with on YouTube, and it will put their real name.
Wow.
It's so weird. It can be something not even related to their username. I always say Facebook is the weak link.
Probably. Look at
I know,
Storm's over there like, all right, since I can't sleep peacefully, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to sit down in the chair next to you, guy.
He's 46.
Storm.
So is he retired? I thought she finally said he was retired military. And she said she doesn't want...
The father?
Yeah, if he claimed paternity, he would, if he was still active duty, he'd have to provide TRICARE.
Well, I mean...
But you know what I mean?
How old is she?
Oh, he's 37. Someone's saying he's 37. What is she, 35? I think she said she's 35.
Letitia's 35?
Yeah. Oh,
So
she
he's
did let it
gotta
go. I'll
be-
have to go back and look at that.
So the dad can't be that young.
No.
The brother?
JW.
Wow.
Maybe,
Wow.
Wait,
So it's not like a private or
She's
anything.
34. He's retired. I've heard she was paid by over 20 guys during that time frame. And she always talking about her crusty panties. Girl, don't talk about your crusty panties. Nobody wants to hear that. That's
Talking
so
about like
weird.
discharge and stuff.
Yeah,
She's like-
it's so weird.
She just talks about it so matter-of-factly in that way.
Yeah, and that's why I think sometimes she has to be trolling. But then I'm like, I don't think she is. 34 this month, and 34, and she'll be 35.
I mean, I've
Okay.
never... No, he's not. Okay. I'm looking at
maybe
the comments.
maybe the dad, maybe her father is.
But the thing is Letitia, we see people age quickly here. Tam, the beast. We see them age very quickly. If you look at a picture, if you look at a picture of Tam when she, like 10, 15 years ago, she didn't look like she looks now. What I mean is Letitia's on her way to looking horrible, but not yet. I mean, I'm not saying that she's a good-looking gal, but she's not.
She's a cute girl.
I'm a cute girl. My pheromones are overpowering.
I'm gonna let you finish, but watch. He's in that.
No, he doesn't want.
He's like,
but she's not. She doesn't look.
Bye,
She doesn't have those.
Good night.
She doesn't have the lines and all that. She doesn't have the furrowed brow, the permanently furrowed brow yet.
I bet she might be under house arrest. That might be
think?
why she can't go anywhere.
Huh? I didn't think about that. So she hasn't been streaming from a car lately.
No, she's at her mama's house.
She might be on house arrest.
That's why I said I think mom had to take his response. We're trying to pick Sawyer up, and he's doing his backing up maneuver where he comes up to you, but when you go to pick him up, he backs up, which means he's done with our stream.
What about Storm? Should I go get her and bring her over to you?
No, she would gripe at you.
Yeah, I'm not. See, Storm and I, you guys know Storm, that Mandy's cat from before she was with me.
Oh yes, for
We
sure,
have an
Karen.
understanding that I can pet her and she can lay next to me on the bed, but I'm not to pick her up.
Yeah.
She does not like, she's like,
Because you have to pick, she's like a rag doll. When you pick her up,
She's
you have
big.
to put her like this. And she
Yeah.
doesn't press against you. She doesn't try to get down. She doesn't tense up. She's just like a rag doll.
Paula says she's cute with enough makeup. But what I mean is she doesn't have that same age 10 years in 5 months. Maybe in 5 months she will have been.
She can't decide whether or not her dad actually abused her or not. She goes back and forth. Sometimes he's the most loving father in the entire world, and sometimes he's the devil. At one time, she said he impregnated the sister. It's so strange.
Yeah, she says some weird stuff, man.
But then she was saying, look, I didn't have a teenage brother. I don't know. I didn't, But she says the reason she says that her brother abused her is because she caught him going through her underwear drawer when he was a teenager.
Wow.
But I mean, okay, that's weird. But do you think that constitutes abuse?
No.
Right?
No.
Like I said, I don't have any idea. I don't know. But she caught him, and then that's part of her complex PTSD.
Here, one thing that I just naturally,
I saw that.
I don't like.
Lies, all of it.
We have it. We have it with veterans. We have it. And, it's hard to, when you have a PTSD diagnosis when people use it, and I don't know. She could be telling that she's got something, but I don't even wear, like lately, I don't even remember. I used to wear these bracelets all the time. I don't wear them anymore because, like I said, I say it all the time. You hear me say it all the time. I met a lot of people, everybody in town, and a lot of people, the way they start a conversation when they would see that was kind of patronizing, and they mean well, but I'm done with the label, so I just, if you know me well enough that we talk about it, that's fine, but I don't advertise it like I used to, so
Yeah.
we buffering?
No. Tell me if it's clearer now. Because by the time it's finished, I'm not seeing it.
It might be the individuals, but it is about 9.
Well, and let me ask you this: I'm seeing things. Did she say that she's moved back into a condo on the beach? Did I miss something? Was that said? And then we have major. I'm gonna have to go back and read the chat because I don't know if we're talking about Leticia or the Beast or I don't know who we're talking about.
Back and forth.
Yeah. I don't know. We were in a condo on the beach for 6 days.
It wasn't a condo. It was a big old lodge.
Well, you would consider one of them a condo,
Yeah.
right?
Our room was nice.
It was a lodge. You think it's called a lodge?
I think it's like a lodge. You can't. It's not a mansion.
No, it wasn't.
But it's a
That's what
beach.
called.
It's made to. I mean, it's 27 bedrooms, and then in all the, like, one huge dining room and a second kitchen downstairs, a big entertainment room.
Angela.
But it's a lodge. It's made to house, like a wedding party. You could house everybody in the wedding party if you wanted to. So.
Let me tell you, especially when someone doesn't have a partner and there's no other explanation for it, when they have bruises mainly on their legs, all over their legs, easiest way to tell that someone is getting pissy drunk at night and falling all over the
bumping
place.
Into stuff?
On the legs.
Wow.
The legs, knees, shins, elbows, arms. That's what happens when you're pissy drunk continually. And sometimes someone here, even you don't even have to be an alcoholic. Some college, you remember waking up and being like, but if it's continual, which it appears that it is, it's because someone's stumbling all over their house or their daughter's house or whatever it is. It's kind of sad. I got bruises from nailing the corner of the bed at the house we were just talking about.
So yeah, you know when you have like I did it. You know how you have like the mattress fits in and it's got kind of like squared off wooden. What do you call that? A frame, not a frame.
Yes, Jeremy.
She kept,
yes,
but it
Paul.
was far enough out where she kept smacking into it. I kept smacking it, and we're not drinkers.
You're
so.
finally healing. Yes, that's what I think. I'm telling you, that's what you hear about in the rooms of AA. You'll hear about people waking up with, can't even figure out how they fell or whatever. You know what it's like when you completely lose your equilibrium.
Yeah, that would suck.
You do whatever. So I'm not saying, I haven't seen the bruises, I don't know, but that's usually what it is. But beyond that, I'm gonna heat up hibachi.
You want to eat hibachi? Leftover hibachi, guys.
We're going on 2 days leftover. This is the last night, and then I gotta call it. Right, Sean?
We got to call it, and if there's any pieces of beef left,
You
it'll
can't
go
give
the
beef
chicken.
to the chicken.
Yes, you can.
You
They
can't
can
give it to
eat-
cats.
No.
You can't, right?
You can.
Well, fancy cat food doesn't sell beef variations.
All
So
I'm
I
saying
assume-
is those chickens will eat anything. You just have to like I said, don't throw them pasta. Don't throw them things out.
I mean, what's beautiful, I guess, for Clip Channels is she wears the same dirty white T-shirt every day. So you could, if someone wanted to put them together, you could put them together because it's the same dirty stained T-shirt. Anyways.
But, so.
When did she must have been, I don't even know when all that got done. I must have been working or something.
Karen's asking Sean, when can I feed like.
Crumbles?
What do you want to feed them? You should be feeding them right now. You should be feeding them, if they're little, just that crumble, just that protein crumble.
Let me see what she said.
Food to the chicks. I mean, you can introduce, as soon as they were outside.
Veggies.
Yeah, you can try it whenever you want to try it, really. They'll start eating it. Like, what's the first thing we noticed them eating was the little shrimp.
Mealworms.
Mealworms. They love mealworms.
Don't buy
Karen.
the Merry Minnows of the flock party. They
don't like that. I realized that those were for ducks.
They're for ducks. There's a duck on the package, isn't there?
If you can find little dried mealworms, try that. Because the chicks were eating mealworms. That was the first thing they started to eat, other than the regular protein crumble that you give them. But like in the morning before I go to work, I'll cut up about a dozen cherub tomatoes, little ones, in a little thing with cherry tomatoes. They like that.
But she can give like salad leftovers. She can do that as long as their main source is protein.
Yeah, you can introduce whatever you want to introduce to them.
But they've got to be eating enough protein.
It's just what I've been told about they need a lot of protein, even throughout their life. Like I have a food thing that's just the protein pellets and the protein crumble.
Send me a picture. They're 3 and 4 weeks
But just
old.
be careful about like processed bread, any processed food, just like us.
Mm-hmm.
We eat stuff that we're not supposed
Sean,
to.
I've never ever seen him so excited in the fruit and vegetable section. Usually
I was picking out summer squash.
He was like getting the bag
stuff.
and he was putting zucchini in and he was doing whatever. And I was like, wow. And he was like,
they're for the chickens. Yeah.
He'll eat it if I cook it, but I've never seen him pick it out. But yeah, cherry tomatoes are their favorite. The only thing I saw, the guideline was just make sure that they get enough protein and they're not just eating other stuff. But I also checked, can they eat so much they die? No.
When you get out there, once you put them out into the coop, you got to put like scratch grains. I use grinded up oyster shells, and so they have to eat like gravel and stuff. It helps them digest, but that's not yet.
Do you feed dehydrated or live mealworms? You can do either one.
Either one. You can go to Tractor Supply or anywhere. They have them at Kroger, and you can buy little bags for like $10. We buy 5 gallon barrels for like $60. And yeah,
it was. I think I posted a picture one time. Flock Party is my favorite brand.
Flock
I'm not
Party.
going to get into that again.
Yes.
We did it yesterday, and you saw what I want to do with it.
Let's go eat.
And we're gonna go eat. But
Okay.
y'all,
thanks for hanging out.
I've seen the funny things that you're saying in the chat. They are hilarious and spot on. Even if I didn't read it out loud, I did see it, and I'm glad that y'all have fun in here and you have an outlet where you're not blocked to go and have a good laugh about the absurdity that goes on over there.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
Boho. I think they would, if I did that, they would, well, we're not going to be monetized anyway. They might take our stuff down. So But it's not ladylike to do.
Nah,
It's
we'll
not
be
ladylike.
monetized. This one can be monetized.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be if I shot the finger.
No.
I don't even care about her.
I mean, even yesterday's stream was sort of like, it said partially monetized. It's
I know.
ad suitable
I don't
though.
get why.
I don't know. I don't know what we did, but
Anyways, it was a lot of fun.
all right,
Have
so
a good
we're
night.
trying to do this
I'm
more often
trying.
because you guys
I'm
are
seeing
here.
how it goes. I'm seeing if we really make a go of this. If y'all stay entertained by our and Missy did it.
Missy did it
By
for
our
us.
random conversation. But we won't keep you too much longer.
So next time we go live, just do your research on Bigfoot. Let me know if you think Bigfoot is real, and
The ghost conversation is an interesting one.
it
to
is.
have
But
again.
see, I'm gonna next time I'll never look at this guy again the same way.
This guy?
The guy the Bigfoot guy.
Oh my
I'll
God.
never every time he comes in, I'll ask him about.
But it's funny
Bigfoot or
that
whatever.
your coworker was like, Bigfoot.
He's talking about Bigfoot. He knew and that
Anyway.
was anyway interesting.
All right.
Peace
Have
out.
a good night.
Bye.
Bye.